If you thought until now that vegan onion meat was not possible, then in this very video, I will convince you of the opposite. I'm going to show you my truly delicious, incredibly hearty, plant-based version of onion stew. It's super easy to make. It fits perfectly into the festive season, or just for any time you're craving it. I'm enjoying this in a fairground style, just like I remember it from the fair back in the day. And if you're in the mood for this hearty classic, keep watching. I'll show you how it's done. I genuinely only have a very few ingredients here, and this dish always brings back memories of my childhood. Whether it's from the fairground or sometimes at Grandma and Grandpa's house. Such a truly wonderful, hearty, and savory dish. Naturally, today it's entirely plant-based and completely vegan. It's super easy to prepare. The foundation for this dish, for me, is made up of these soy big steaks. I've already pre-cooked them for about 30 minutes in lightly salted water. The next main ingredient is, of course, onions. I have already peeled them. That's about 750 grams. I will now start by slicing these into rings. Normally, I only use Spanish onions here, but one wasn't good earlier, so I now have a red one with me, and I'm not slicing it too thin. A little thicker is fine. They can be about half a centimeter thick, or even thicker. It's a braised dish. They'll become really tender and soft later. This past weekend, we just had some visitors from Santa Barbara, and I really wanted to show them a truly wonderful German culinary classic. So I went ahead and prepared it, and she was completely captivated by it. It was a young woman, 25 years old, and she was totally blown away by this particular version. For this, I'm going to chop up 2 cloves of garlic. I'm using the big one, as I always do. If you don't have or don't really like these large bulbs, then just use 4. You just need to roughly chop them. As I mentioned before, this will all be braised later on, therefore make it really quite coarse. I've already preheated the oven here in the background to 160 degrees Celsius, using the convection setting. This is a dish you can prepare on the stovetop. You can also prepare it in the oven, just as you prefer. But I think, especially if you want to make something like this for Christmas, I find it absolutely wonderful. Put it down in the oven, then you'll have the stovetop free up here for red cabbage, dumplings, or whatever else you'd like to eat with it. I'll serve this later in a bun, just like you know it from the fairgrounds. Back then, buns were split open, with onion meat inside. This is really delicious. All right, I'll quickly put this away. I've somehow been a bit under the weather now for the 3rd, 4th week. Or what do I even mean by sick? I have a runny nose that just somehow won't go away? And onion dishes, yeah, just from cutting them, that really gets right up your nose. A wonderful helper to get all the dirt out. So, then I'll take the big steaks. I'll show them to you again, right here in the shot. These are, as I've said before, in their original raw state, simply dried, defatted soy. They must absolutely be pre-cooked for at least 30 minutes to make them nice and soft. From this, you can prepare wonderful cutlets and other similar dishes. I'll just quickly grab a little bit of kitchen paper. I'll just pat dry 1 or 2 more pieces here a little bit, although it's actually okay. And then I'll place them next to each other on a board here for seasoning. And speaking of boards, I've been asked about that quite often now. I think this is probably the 7th or 8th video where I've had this board. I treated myself to a new one a couple of months ago. I had actually intended to purchase a Frankfurter Brett, and then I discovered, much to my regret, that they had, unfortunately, gone out of business, which truly saddened me. So then I looked around a bit on the internet. I really didn't feel like spending 500 euros for a cutting board. And some really good kitchen boards, some kitchen boards actually cost that much. They're certainly worth it, I'm sure. But as I mentioned, that wasn't my primary intention at the moment, so I looked for something up to 100 euros, and that's when I found this. I can happily link it for you down below. I'm not sure, did it cost 70, 80, or 90 euros? I don't recall the exact price anymore. I'm really happy with it. And then the question also came up regarding how I maintain it. Well, there are naturally different types of oils made specifically for kitchen purposes that you can use. I, personally, actually just use simple olive oil. I apply olive oil after I've used this particular piece. I'll just rub it in a little bit with that. So first I clean it, then I rub it in a little with olive oil, and that's all. So, naturally, there are various ways of preparation, different ways of seasoning. I'm doing this very, very classic and simple. And the first side, which is lying here, so to speak, at my feet, will be properly salted and peppered. And I really mean properly, because later, when braising, it truly needs to soak through well. So, salt it. And add pepper. The other spices, they'll go into my braising liquid later. So, I always calculate about 2 of these steaks per hungry person. I'll prepare this later and simply freeze most of it. Also, a great option if you want to eat it for Christmas. You can prepare it sometime, freeze it, and take it out again for Christmas. And then you're all set. This current page. It is now going to be thoroughly coated with a layer of mustard. Don't be stingy with it. Feel free to use a good, almost full teaspoon for each steak. And especially when you have your grandma and grandpa visiting, who really love classic dishes. This is certainly the meal to make. You'll definitely win them over with this. It's also seasoned with salt and pepper. As I said, don't skimp on anything. Place it at the bottom of a braising pot or a large braising pan. Take something that you can either put directly into the oven or that is simply large enough for everything to fit inside. On the bottom of the pan, I'm placing 2 sprigs of rosemary, then a few onions right underneath. You could also add some thyme here, or any other woody herbs. This is definitely something that won't be eaten later. Everything else, however, will be eaten. Right. Then we'll lay down the first layer of these big soy steaks. And now it's time to start layering. A generous amount of onions go on top, then the next layer of meat. Wow, that's already such a nice smell here. You can just arrange it a little bit. I have small pieces here, so it's all nicely covered. Now I'm adding the garlic over it. Put it in any layer in the middle. Onions. It's important to save enough onions so the last layer, so to speak, finishes with onions. The last layer of meat. So, you'll want to make sure that you cover everything thoroughly with onions. My stomach, by the way, is starting to rumble quite a bit. It's currently 10:17 on my clock. I usually don't actually eat anything until 12 at the very earliest. But when I'm preparing dishes like these, my stomach often starts rumbling much sooner. For the braising liquid, I'm going to mix about 800 milliliters of vegetable broth. To this, we'll add 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1 teaspoon of tomato paste, 4 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, and a generously heaped teaspoon of paprika powder. I'm personally using a smoked paprika powder for this recipe. However, if you don't have the smoked variety, you can simply use a sweet paprika instead. And also 2 full tablespoons of rich, dark balsamic vinegar. Give it a really good stir, then pour it all over the meat. And now, as you prefer, you'll add 400 milliliters of red wine. I have a very normal, classic red wine here. You can use a non-alcoholic version, so a non-alcoholic red wine, or even a mild grape juice. But then, it really has to be mild, not too sweet. I have a dry red wine here, 400 milliliters. So, when I press the meat down here, the liquid should be about 2 or 3 centimeters below the meat, because when I braise it now, it will shrink a little bit later. If you have too little liquid, just take the same ratio and simply mix in a little more of it. Now, the lid goes on. Then, the onion meat goes into the oven for about an hour at 160 degrees fan-assisted. So, the attentive viewer of my cooking show will have noticed that I'm wearing a mustache. And if you're watching this right now, we are currently in the month of November. For several years now, there's been a worldwide campaign known as Movember, where men who participate grow a mustache during the month of November. The main objective is to collect donations for men's health projects, such as those fighting prostate cancer. The procedure is quite simple. On November 1st, you shave completely clean. I should probably do that again myself now. And they exclusively grow a mustache. The mustache serves as a symbol for men's health issues, especially prostate and testicular cancer. I'll link all of that up here for you, and I would be truly delighted if you would just go there. In this video, I really want to thank you that quite a few people are now sending me small donations via thanks. If you'd like to donate a little something, please this time for the Movember organization. As I said, I'll link that for you up here and also below the video. I truly thank you from the bottom of my heart for your brief attention. I'm just going to wait until the meat is ready, and then I'll be right back. All right, everyone, the meal is now ready. It looks incredibly delicious. Incredible. By the way, it was in there for an hour and 20 minutes. On the stovetop, it's a little bit faster. And I'm not sure if I mentioned it correctly earlier. It's at 200 degrees convection. I think I said 160. That's completely wrong. That was for a different dish I made before. Oh, just look at this. It has turned out absolutely wonderfully. Crazy. Oh, the scent in here is just so wonderful. It's truly quite amazing. I'm just going to show you the very first one right now, before I bring out all the others. How incredibly tender this is. I can really just pull it apart with forks so easily. Yes, and that's actually how I like it best later. And you can eat this now with potatoes, rice, pasta, or whatever. Oh, amazing. Let's try a piece of meat right here. I understand. Wow, guys, this is good. This is really good. Not to mention, absolutely perfect. I used to get things like this more often when I had my construction company. I'm a road construction master builder, you see. Whenever I was working for private individuals, that's exactly the kind of thing they would put out for me for lunch and so on. I truly loved that. I'm going to grab another one here and pick one more, because I'll just throw it into a bun right away. And as I've mentioned, as a meat eater, I've never prepared anything like that myself. But here with these big steaks, if I happen to get some, I make roulades out of them or something similar. Speaking of roulades, a few people have recently asked me about a roulade recipe made from big steaks that I once had on my YouTube channel. This actually made it into my current cookbook, Boys Don't Cook, and because of that, I had to take it down from my YouTube channel. If you're still searching for a Christmas present, I'll just quickly bring this forward for a moment. You definitely won't go wrong with my new cookbook, Boys Don't Cook. No, not at all. It's absolutely packed with 80 delicious recipes. You'll find truly delicious, hearty recipes here. These are timeless classics, simply what almost everyone truly enjoys, complemented by a generous helping of fantastic music on top. So, if you're still searching for that perfect Christmas gift, this is absolutely top-notch. So, I'm just going to get the rest out of here now, and then pile it up on a plate for starters. Always make sure to include these wonderful onions here. That's absolutely fantastic. So, this is truly an ideal recipe, perfectly suited for the upcoming holidays, especially when you've invited your grandma and grandpa, or perhaps your parents, who really appreciate those classic, traditional dishes. So, that's quite enough for here now, and I'll leave the rest inside. And now, the whole thing, just like I know it from the fun fair, goes into a bun. And white bread rolls are really something you'd never find at my place. Never. But for a dish like this delicious onion meat, there's truly nothing more perfect. Folks, just take a look at this here. All right, everyone, the photo has been taken. I'm going to really enjoy this now. You can make a sauce from the pan drippings. The easiest way is to remove the meat and onions, then blend it with an immersion blender or in a high-speed mixer. Blend it all thoroughly once, add a tablespoon of white almond butter or cashew butter, bring it all to a nice boil, seasoned with pepper and salt, and then you'll have the perfect sauce. Remove the rosemary sprig beforehand. And oh, folks, I really need to take a bite now. And wow. I'm going to take another little spoonful of the braising liquid here. Wow. Incredibly tasty. The onions are truly wonderful, slightly sweet with a tart note from the red wine. As I mentioned, you can also use grape juice. That's absolutely no problem at all. I would be absolutely delighted if you try making this classic, and I truly hope I've now shown you an alternative for what you can do with these dry, big steaks. Please leave a like and a comment. I'd be thrilled. In the next week or two, I'll show you a really delicious nut roast. I would be really happy if you could join us there again, and I'd like to say now, please check out the Movember link. Perhaps leave €1 or $2 if you can. I would truly appreciate that so much. Thank you very much in advance for your support. And thank you all for watching. Stay fit, stay healthy, and stay cheerful. You're Alex. Bye. Bye.
Mm.